guys. I'm recording a video as I put away dishes because I have nothing better to do. The audio quality on this is going to be fantastic, to say the least. I do not have an external microphone. So, this is the first video I've ever recorded, ever, believe it or not. I've never recorded any other videos before. I'm going to be posting this publicly, but there's very little chance that anyone who knows me personally is going to see this. At least I hope. If you know me personally, no you don't. So I just wanted to, well, there's a lot of things I just wanted to do, but right now, I want to talk about what it's like being a teenager in these trying times. I think trying is either an understatement or an overstatement, depending on how you look at it, but it's weird. It's weird growing up in this day and age. Chiefly among the reasons being the internet, of course. Like, the internet existing as a concept is crazy, but it existing in a time where you're still developing as a person is even crazier. One of my primary relationships with the internet is as an information tool, and I'm sure that could lead to a healthy relationship. I'm sure you could casually form a relationship with the internet wherein you are just getting information from it, you aren't posting anything to it. But I found myself forming a relationship with the internet that felt very inhuman to me. It made me feel less human, which is a concept that I've heard a lot of people talk about, how the more you put into a tool, the less of you have, such as a bicycle. Like, I could walk to a place, I could walk to any place I can bike to, but the act of choosing to use a bicycle instead of using my two human legs makes transportation less human. Same thing with a car. Oh yeah, so the internet. I am a recreational user of Wikipedia, which is not something you hear people brag about, but I downloaded the Wikipedia app on my phone, and ever since then, I know everything. I know every name of every person, I know every accomplishment people have done, I know everything people have built, I know all the stars in every single galaxy we've observed. There's nothing I can't look up. But that raises a moral quandary, of course. How much of what I know is myself, is who I am, what I've learned. I found myself not needing to remember basic facts anymore, like how many feet are in a mile, or like just weird stuff that you always told your teachers that you can look up when you're in school, because you can't. You can just look up all this random stuff that you quote-unquote don't need to memorize. That's true, but it feels bad. Like, subjectively, I feel terrible whenever I don't remember a basic fact and I have to use the internet to access it. It feels like I'm losing a part of myself whenever I need to look up basic math equations, or like, area of a circle. The weird, benign formulas. It feels bad to not know these things, but to be able to access these things. And of course, the feeling is more complicated than just bad. It feels good to know stuff and good to learn stuff, but bad in the long term when you forget these things. I don't think many children, at least before the internet, have thought about transhumanism and what it means to be a cyborg or inhuman. Although, in hindsight, there are a few technologies that could have sparked that thought process, such as, like, the pocket reader. I mean, why should you remember things when you can just write them down? Like, I'm sure some people have made the argument that those technologies are making people less human. And looking back on them, those theoretical arguments feel kind of overblown in hindsight, which I'm sure they felt exactly as I feel nowadays about emerging technologies in their time. But what I find interesting is that children are starting to recognize this. I feel like the age at which information can be accessed has been lowered significantly, and the age at which people want to access this information is lowered significantly. At least now I know that I ask questions so I can get human connections. I remember having a nightly routine with my parents where they'd come in my bedroom to tuck me in, and I'd always have a series of questions lined up for them. And a lot of the questions they couldn't answer, which lets me know the limitations of my parents' knowledge. And it lets me know the limitations of other people's knowledge when I ask them those questions. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'd rather know more about a person, but less about the topic I want to know about, than just automatically having the information. I've been through nearly every single thought process when it comes to the idea of death. I used to think that when I die, the world will end with me. That my consciousness is inherently the only consciousness that matters because I'm thinking, I'm feeling, and I can't prove that anyone else is. But, of course that argument is stupid. You can't automatically disprove that everyone else is thinking and feeling just by admitting that you are thinking and feeling. Just because you can't understand it doesn't mean it's not real. But since then, I've cycled through multiple different ideologies, I guess, when it comes to an afterlife and the importance of life as we know it. One of the most pivotal ideas that came to my head, the idea that, well, you yourself are important and should be taken care of. Your friends and the people you know and the people you talk to are, in a way, more important. Not just in a totalitarian sense where, like, the suffering of the many outweighs the suffering of the few. I think that's the quote. But in a how they affect you way. I would not be where I am today without any of the people who I know and who have helped me, even without them knowing. People on the internet have shaped me in more ways than I or they know. I love my friends with a burning passion. I try to tell them that as much as possible. when I die, they will carry on my ideas, my words. I believe that I have shaped people as much as they have shaped me, or at least some amount of what they have shaped of me. And I think that as long as there are people who carry on my memory and who know who I was, who have talked to me, who have heard my ideas, who have seen me as who I am, I will live. Even if my body is dead in a grave, if I have this video up on YouTube in 80 years, in like 2100, I'll still be alive in some sense. You, the viewer, will know me. You will know this awful looking, you will know this conflicted snapshot of who I am. This incomplete, young, I don't know what the future is going to be like. And it scares me as much as it scares anyone.